We are good. We're good to go.
Here we go. We're good to go. All right. What's up, Phantology fans out there? We got the full crew in today to recap August and kick off our newest competition, which will be taking place in September. These are the top 3 fantasy artifacts, weapons, artifacts, whatever you want to classify as an artifact, I suppose. So we're going to talk through those, but we're going to start by talking about what happened in the month of August and maybe even look ahead to September a little bit. So at the very beginning of the month, we had a Netflix release that we talked about a little bit. Actually, this might have been the very end of July, but we watched The Umbrella Academy Season 2 in August. So we may review this more in depth if we want to do like a full-on Netflix roundup. But what did you guys think of Season 2 of Umbrella Academy?
Didn't watch it.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched it. Yeah.
Oh,
I
gosh.
watched it. I really liked it.
This is Steven and Jake.
I thought it was significantly better than the first season, and I didn't dislike the first season at all. I just thought like the story was more streamlined, and like the plot was everything had to do with itself, as opposed to in season 1 things seemed a little disconnected as you got to know the characters. And again, I really liked season 1, but this one felt like a step up in quality for sure.
So we're the only ones that watched it, Jake? Twins, Ryan, nothing?
I didn't even watch season 1. Sorry.
Oh, gosh.
I got through Avatar.
Yeah,
I mean, I was just busy. I watched episode 1 as well, and then I'll watch it eventually. But
all right, well, that was anticlimactic. I agree with you, Jake. I really liked it. Did I think it was better than season 1? I don't know. I didn't rewatch season 1 before, so I can't remember. But I really enjoyed the setting of Dallas in, the 60s around the JFK assassination, because I'd just been to Dallas and I'd been right there, so it was cool to see all of that, having experienced it firsthand. Maybe that's a tangent, but I also really liked the show. So let's talk about maybe something that we do know more about. We had some filming resumptions. Is that a word, resumption? Anyway, filming started again for Witcher and the Wheel of Time TV show, which we couldn't be more pumped about. This is something that we can be excited about legitimately, right?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't finish The Witcher season 1 either.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Ryan's out.
All right, guys. I'll see you later.
Yeah, I'm excited for the rest of for Witcher season 2, but nowhere near as excited as I am for Wheel of Time. I mean,
yeah,
Witcher season 1 I was fine with. It was good. I enjoyed it. I'll watch season 2, but I'm no longer pumped for it like I am for Wheel of Time.
I'm excited for Witcher season 2. I like the first season, but I mean, Wheel of Time is one of my favorite things ever, and it seems like the story itself is going to be a little more epic. So I'm excited to see an adaptation of that.
And there's only 2 more episodes of Wheel of Time that need to be filmed, is at least what the fans are thinking. So we're pretty close. I mean, hopefully like mid-2021 at the latest, we're seeing some Wheel of Time on the small screen.
Yeah, right. Like we were hearing that 6 episodes had been filmed since like March or April, right? So,
right.
So, I mean, I don't know anything about post-production stuff, but it seems like once they get these things filmed, it's not going to need a lot of in-person collaboration compared to the actual filming to get them all produced up and ready to be sent out.
So speaking of Wheel of Time news, we also got some casting news recently. We have a Min and we have a Swan.
All right, let's go around and see people's reactions here. Who liked the Min casting?
Little controversial. Twitter tends to hate them.
I like the Min casting. 1 out of 5. Okay.
I like the Min casting. I mean, I feel like for anybody, I feel like you can't really
tell how the casting is until you see them on the screen, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of reserve judgment.
Yeah.
What's
I
up with
guess where
how
I'm at
old
by
Min is,
saying
though?
I mean,
Isn't
how
she
old are
too
the other
old?
actors?
How old is
People
she?
always, I think, 34 in real life, and she's supposed to be a few years older than Rand. I don't know
I
how
have
many years
no
older, but
opinion
she's supposed
on this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. The TV shows are not my strong suit.
It's okay, Ryan. We'll get to your books eventually.
I've been trying to find her age. Are you sure about that, Jake?
No, not
It's like
positive.
impossible to find. I was trying to look it up as well.
I've seen a couple people on Reddit just say that they found out her age was that. So that's what I'm
Because you can
going
trust
with.
everybody on Reddit. That is.
Yeah.
I
mean-
both IMDb and Wikipedia have been
Yeah, they don't have anything on there.
have been the Dark One's
Well,
eyes.
IMDb is owned by Amazon, so if Amazon doesn't want her age known, then they can for sure control that.
I think it's ridiculous that her age is becoming a controversy here.
Well, I don't know. I mean, some pictures she looks really young in, but like if these are meant to be teenagers and she looks like she's 40, then
She's not supposed to be a teenager.
She's meant to be like a young adult.
She's supposed to be like mid-20s.
Is she significantly older than Rand?
She's like
not that much older.
She's like, okay, let's find out. I'm pretty sure she's like 4 or 5 years older than Rand.
I participated in a Wheel of Time trivia game with a bunch of other content creators yesterday and completely embarrassed myself. Luckily, we had some experts on our team that saved us from complete disaster. So if you're going to... Yeah, I don't know. We needed Jake there. We needed Jake there for sure. Although right now he's looking something up. So
I don't think I would have been that much of a help. I'm looking up to confirm my suspicion, though. My thought, I guess.
These were questions like, what was the name of the inn where Matt and Rand met so-and-so, and how many men were fighting in chapter 34? I mean, this was incredibly specific. It was tough stuff.
According to Ebony's Wheel of Time fanguide.wordpress.com, the character ages at the beginning of the series are, and this is what I understood for Rand. Rand was 19 or 20, and then Min is like 23 or 24. So 3 or 4 years older.
Living with his dad at that age?
I know that's kind of weird, man. For a wool-headed sheep herder, you figure that's like a 14, 15-year-old.
No, he's gonna like take over the farm. That's his plan.
Why would he move away? With that plan, because he screwed everything else up.
That would have been a boring book.
No one had an issue with Lan's age, the Lan actor's age. He's not old enough to be Lan, and no one really cared about that.
Well, I think it's easier to make an actor younger.
No one cares if you're too young, man.
Yeah,
exactly. It's easier to make her younger. Like that's why I'm saying I don't think this should be an issue.
We want young people because young people are hotter, and we want people that are as hot as possible.
That's why I think people are upset, because they've had this fantasized version of men in their minds, and it's not matching what their interests were or something.
I'm sorry, I never picture Min as the most attractive one of Rand's interests. I mean, that's obviously Elaine.
Who do you picture as the most attractive one?
Oh gosh,
Elaine is straight up said to be the most attractive one. I'm pretty sure in the series. Not
false.
Maybe physically, but not
false.
not on the inside.
No, there's no part of the Wheel of Time where they rank Rand's lovers in order of attractiveness.
No, but I feel
that's in the Robert Jordan's notes, because he.
It could be in his notes.
I take him out.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't put it past him to have that information in his notes. Brandon Sanderson might be privy to that information, but.
So on the Wikias, they rank everyone by power level, and they have like these plus systems. So you're saying the same thing is there for hotness?
Yeah,
I'm sure somebody's made it.
Yeah.
Okay, moving past Wheel of Time.
Companion 2.
Yeah, I have the Wheel of Time companion, and that's not in there, so I guess we're looking for the updated version. But moving past Wheel of Time, one other TV thing. Sorry, Ryan. One other one. We're going to briefly talk about this one because we published an Avatar episode that Josh hosted, and Avatar was making, well, they still are making a live action adaptation through Netflix, but the creators walked away from the production, so that's maybe not looking super great. And this is probably a bigger story than we have time to discuss, but maybe Josh can just like give us his brief thoughts on this story.
Yeah, so this is like completely upended the fandom. Like a lot of people were really excited for this adaptation coming through, and it has just basically nobody's on board with it anymore. None of the main hardcore fandom is on board with it anymore. Both of the original creators put out statements saying that they just couldn't keep their artistic integrity intact and remain on the show. There's a lot of theories floating out there, which I don't think that I really want to get into because none of them are verified, but they kind of range from the characters being sexualized and aged up and whitewashed. Just, I don't know. There's a bunch of things floating out there, but I think it's just rumors and conjecture at this point. And it's really
Is it still going to happen? Is it going to be canceled?
Yeah, no. According to their statements, it's still going forward, and I haven't seen anything from Netflix. And I think I would have if it was canceled, but
Netflix
it's going to be going forward without their support. So, what's that?
Netflix is the one producing the show.
Yeah, and they've worked with the creators a lot. One or both of the creators also created Dragon Prince, which I've heard was really good. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard like really good things about it. And Netflix just acquired the streaming rights again for Korra and for Avatar. So there's a lot of Netflix is investing pretty heavily, I think, in the Avatar universe, but this has just kind of upended a lot of the live action production of it.
What do you think the chances are that the fan reaction will like change minds at Netflix?
Netflix is like pretty sure of itself, I feel like, with the directions of these series. I think they trust their algorithms more than they trust Twitter.
Dang. So we can change Sonic, but we can't change Avatar.
Yeah, apparently. Just last thing for Netflix, Altered Carbon season 2 was canceled, or season 3 was canceled.
I saw that.
Also, Lucifer, the new season of Lucifer just came out.
Is that good?
So
is that something I should be watching?
Yeah, man. I mean, I've enjoyed it. So
I've never seen it. It does not look good.
Maybe
Jake,
I'll give it a shot.
Watching.
I'll give it a
You've
shot.
Never seen it.
If you guys didn't watch so many TV shows, we could have more time to chat about books.
All right. On that note, let's talk about some books.
Good point.
August, I feel like my August was to some extent dominated by the Rhythm of War cover release and all of the chapters that come out every Tuesday morning. Phantology is doing, and when I say Phantology, I mean I am putting out reviews of the chapters, getting those out every Wednesday morning the following day, so you can kind of follow along. That's a lot of stuff that we've discussed on our Discord, and people have come on in theories, etc. So we try to make those reviews interesting. So Rhythm of War hype is probably off the charts right now, but we still have 2 more months until the book actually comes out.
Stoked. I'm in the middle of
yeah. I'm just gonna say.
So Ryan's rereading the entire series to get ready. I'm going to try to reread at least Oathbringer because I've read the others already a few times, so I think I'm good with those. But where are you at in your Rhythm of War hype, Ben?
I'm really enjoying the chapters. Like honestly, I can wait for the book to come out if we're getting chapters, and it's fun to discuss them. So I think that we almost need to. It's tough because I want to read the book as quickly as possible, but I'm also really enjoying like talking and speculating about it as we're reading it. Like on Discord, like everybody kind of throwing out theories about. I think we're going to try and avoid spoilers here, but like theories about what's going on and what groups could become more powerful and different theories. It's really fun to speculate. So
So you don't want the book to come out at all. You just want continual weekly chapter releases for the next 3 years until book 5 is ready.
Until book 5
Still has enough time to watch his TV shows.
Well, I mean, isn't that what a lot of people want with like the Wheel of Time series, chapter by chapter?
That's what I want.
That's interesting comparison there. It'd be weird if books move towards that format to give like authors more time.
Back towards the serialization, like how Sherlock
Yeah.
Holmes was originally published in newspapers and most of Dickens stuff.
Yeah,
Great
exactly.
expectations. Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
I feel like that kind of messes with the creative process a little bit, or it changes it.
If you're writing expecting that, that will, because then like each chapter has to have its own little like rise and fall, and
It's like
It's
write
also-
a chapter, check Reddit, write another chapter, adjust, check Reddit.
yeah, no.
Can I
George R. R. Martin with Game of Thrones right here.
can I bring up something that hasn't happened?
Yeah.
Patrick Rothfuss still has not addressed his editor's comments. Look, if they're not
this is
true,
rough.
just come out and say, this isn't true. I've been working on the book. It's not that hard.
It's not looking great there. We talked about this more in depth in our last monthly thing because that's when all the news was breaking. But, oh man, are we ever going to get Doors of Stone? Possibly not.
It's a strong possibility that
I think Fantology needs to start a fanfic, right, of Doors of Stone and see if we can release that before the actual book comes out.
Yeah, we could probably get some Patreon support behind that.
How messed up would it be, guys, if Patrick Rothfuss has the entire book done and he just sits on it, and in his will it says how to publish it, like it's all done, and he just leaves it just to spite everyone,
and every time
until he dies.
Every time he hears a comment on Twitter, when's Doors of Stone coming out, he just delays a year, just tacks that on.
How messed up
I'm picturing
would it be if he had actually told the truth in the beginning that he had finished the trilogy?
This is all a big psychology experiment. I'm picturing the scene in Knives Out where they open the well, and it's just like one little page long. And the lawyer's like, "Yep, it's pretty straightforward."
Anyways, I've specifically beat that dead horse pretty hard.
Yeah, we do have more good news on the Sanderson side, on the Brando Sando side. We got up to over 7 million on the Kickstarter, so we're getting an audiobook for Way of Kings Prime, which is fantastic, because otherwise I kind of doubt I would have been able to get through it since it is massive and kind of odd, but I can listen to that, no problem.
Yeah, that was the stretch goal I was looking forward to most, I think, and
I know.
got it.
All of us were kind of skeptical of that actually happening too.
Didn't they let an extension happen or something?
So they didn't get it at first, but then when they did the backer kit that allowed you to add additional swag to your order, that counted towards the 7 million.
Oh, nice.
So the Kickstarter is really cool the way they did it. It's totally customizable. Like you could buy whatever tier and then you could add in anything else. So really, really cool way to structure the Kickstarter. They spent a ton of time on that.
Didn't it break like a Kickstarter goal or record as well? Like the most funded thing? I don't know.
No, not the most funded thing, but it's in. The last time I checked, it was in the top 20. Maybe it's like top 15.
Top 20.
Now, definitely biggest book that's ever been funded on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So the Sanderson machine continues to roll on. He also finished Dawn Shard recently, which is the novella that's going to take place between Oathbringer and Rhythm of War. And that's going to come out, I think, in October. So it'll be out before the time of Rhythm of War, so you can read that and get hyped. It's mostly from Risson and Lopin's perspectives. So
Also,
Lopin.
we played the Stormlight Call to Adventure a couple times, and Steven is still undefeated.
Yeah, I'm 4 victories and 0 losses in Stormlight Call to Adventure.
At this point, you've beaten all of the Fantology 5.
True.
That's right. Ultimate Knights Radiant.
Yeah. Although I
That game
think
is
it
really
was
fun.
for sure.
you end up being evil, Steven.
Steven's
Yeah, one
always
time
evil in that game.
One time I did have to embrace Odium, become his champion, but yeah, there are rewards if you Odium has powerful gifts to offer.
I think we can see that in certain events in the book. So
Everyone who is a fan of Stormlight should get that game. It is so fun.
Jake's just saying that because
Plus
he
it's-
can't get it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, my wife's like, why would you get a game that you would play with your two friends that both have the game? So I can play by myself? I don't know.
Well, it's not like you can't get it
You can.
anymore.
You can play by yourself. You can do the one-player version and fight Odium on your own.
I thought that was a co-op.
Now we know how Steven is so good at the game.
Yeah, exactly.
He plays the one-player version where he joins Odium. That's how.
Yeah, I totally outed myself. I've played hundreds of times.
Yeah, well, it's sold out. They're probably gonna make more,
I'll make
bring
more.
more
Yeah.
stock of the game, but I checked just the other day and they were sold out of the Stormlight Call to Adventure version.
Dang. Name of the Wind is only $20 though, right?
Well, it's an expansion, so you have to buy the
Oh,
base
never
game
mind.
and then the Name of the Wind.
Okay, past
Good plan.
past
Okay.
Brandon Sanderson news, we did have one notable book come out in August, which was The Black Song, The Fifth Veil in Alsorna. Ryan's already read it. I'm over halfway, planning on finishing it today. Actually, if all goes well. I don't know. I'm liking it like okay. I'm maybe a little disappointed thus far. I'm going to be honest. It's a decent book.
I thought it was better than the first one, so fight me.
Wait,
We'll see
better
what
than-
happens by the end.
What?
Better than Wolf's Call.
No,
I wasn't
better
a
than
fan of the
Wolf's
first
Call.
book, so
You weren't a fan of
then you can
Bloodsong
take
or
that
Wolf's
opinion
Call?
out of here.
Take that wrong opinion and just get out of here.
I didn't even worry about his audio coming in if he's just going to say things like that.
So that's why
I
I
guess-
think
there's one other piece of fantasy news here that happened in August.
okay.
We have the release of Midnight Sun, which is the first Twilight book only told from Edward's perspective. Came out
No.
August 4th.
Are you gonna
No,
read that
I don't think that happens.
and do an
I
episode?
will
on
definitely
it?
be reading this.
I'll
Oh my
read
gosh.
it. I'll
I'm
read it.
more
I'll
than
do an
willing.
episode
Yeah.
with you. I'll do an episode with you.
Jake,
on that.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
I actually watched over the course of August. I rewatched all of the Twilight movies with
That's
my wife.
painful.
Oh,
That is
So-
I'm
hard.
dying inside.
Are you
I'm
kidding me?
dying inside right
You
now. Oh my
rewatched. You
gosh.
took the time to rewatch 4 movies.
Ben,
Yeah,
Twilight.
I think the real
Dude,
sin isn't
they're pretty
you
good,
watched
man.
them,
No.
but that you admitted to watching them. That's the real.
I would not be
transgression
ashamed.
here.
They were good movies.
They're not good movies.
I don't think I'd ever
Ben.
seen all of them.
Ben, they're not
Oh,
good.
The first one-
gosh.
The first one was a little rough. The rest of them were good.
This
This is
okay,
a
I've only
dark
seen the
moment in
first one. The
Photology
first one was
podcast
way
history.
rough. Like I was a fan of the first 3 of those. Like they
Steven
were
is
fine.
currently rethinking his life decisions.
Oh, I'm
The
rethinking it.
movies were not
Oh,
good.
oh gosh. Okay. Are we done with this one?
Well, the
No, this
Fantology
is
4 will continue, and Ben.
This is an
Okay, I'm
untapped
just saying.
market for
I'm actually pretty
Scientology.
excited to read this. Yeah, we're Jake. You down? Ryan, you down for an episode with it?
We'll see. I've got a lot on
You
my
guys
plate
are going to
right
have
now.
to figure out how to publish that episode on your own because I will not be a part of that.
All right.
Okay,
Okay,
3 things in
all right.
September that I thought were worth
Okay.
mentioning.
Well,
And you guys go ahead and tell me which of these 3 you're most excited for. So we have The Boys Season 2, we have The Trouble with Peace by Joe Abercrombie, and we have Battleground by Jim Butcher. There's probably some more September things. But those 3 were kind of top of mind for me. So out of those 3, which one are you most excited for?
Battleground.
The boys.
You can say why too.
So,
So twins are in for the new Dresden.
yep. Jake doesn't like Dresden, which is almost as bad of an opinion as me liking Twilight. Apparently,
It's not that I hate it. I just didn't really get into it. And I haven't read any of the Joe Abercrombie books yet. I really want to, but so I can't really give an opinion on.
Not even the first Lost trilogy?
I haven't read any of them yet. No.
Okay, so Jake defaults to the boys.
I started. I like checked out the audiobook for the First Law one, but it was like hard to listen to while I was at work. So I was like, I need to just check out the book and read it. So
I was worried you were about to criticize the audiobook reader, Stephen Pacey, in which case you really would have been kicked off the podcast.
No, nothing to do with the narrator. It's hard for me to listen to books for the first time. It's like if I read it before, listening to it is fine. But for the first time, like consuming a book.
Yeah, that's fair.
If I read it, it's harder for me to pay attention. Yeah.
I'm just going to say, I vividly remember my first time listening to that first Law book, and I was trying to fall asleep. It was one of those, I'll just start this before I go to bed. I seriously was kept up half the night and had nightmares after I fell asleep because of how, that book is just very intense. And the narrator does a very good job of painting a vivid mental images. So
3 hours later, you're still hearing Glocta talking through broken teeth with his neck clicking.
While torturing some poor soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to say Trouble with Peace. I'm most excited for Trouble with Peace. I'm going to start a little hatred ASAP and be ready for Trouble with Peace when it comes out on the 17th.
I agree with you, Steven. Mainly because I haven't watched The Boys and I've only read the first Dresden Files book. But I think that Little Hatred or The Trouble with Peace is going to be epic.
I'm just going to say I consumed a whole Dresden book in 2 days recently. So I'm very devoted to
listen to it.
I listened to it.
Okay. He ate the book.
Quick question: Is a Little Hatred or A Trouble with Peace, is that still another standalone book within the same universe?
It is not. So he had the first trilogy, First Law trilogy. He then had 3 standalones, same universe but separate and distinct stories. There's a series of short stories that Ryan and I just reviewed, and then he has a new trilogy. Little Hatred is the first, Trouble with Peace is the second, and those 2 are like years after all the previous events with new characters.
Oh, really? So this is still in the First Law universe?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't. Okay. Dang, I need to get caught up. Can I skip to A Trouble with Peace without reading all the in-between standalone books? Or I need to read all those?
You could. Man, I don't know because I haven't read A Little Hatred. You definitely can't skip to A Trouble with Peace. You have to read A Little Hatred. You probably could. Daniel Green, I think, read A Little Hatred before he read any standalones. But I think big fans are going to say that's totally sacrilegious to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
The next series on my list are the First Law series. I don't know what it's called. Like all that stuff you're talking about. Malazan and then the Wolf's Call, like the new Valen books. Yeah. How should I order those? Like what?
Are you open to going back and forth, or do you want to read through a whole series, finish it, and go to the next one?
I guess it's true. I could read all the First Law, first trilogy, and then read Wolf's Call. I don't know. Malazan, I feel like I need to do a continuous thing. It just seems so daunting.
Wolf's Call and Black Song would be pretty quick.
They're pretty quick.
Yeah, those could be quicker reads. Definitely. I would maybe read a Malazan, see how much you like it, and then read something else and go back to another Malazan. You could go either way. That's what I'm doing. But Ryan read all 10 right through.
I read through them and I enjoyed them more than anybody else. So what does that say about people who take breaks in between the books?
All right.
That they're well read.
Shots fired.
Jake, I think in terms of Phantology coverage, I think you would round out the Malazan coverage quite nicely. So but we're probably not going to cover the third book until later, maybe beginning of next year. So I would say if I were you, I'd go First Law and then Malazan, and then maybe when you're feeling burnt out of Malazan, you can jump over to Wolf's Call.
Okay.
Yeah, for sake of Phantology,
will be burned out on Malazan.
Well, I'm just saying, if you've read 5, 1,000-page long books, you might want to go read another book.
Ryan is totally looking down on all of us right now.
I'm just saying, Ryan,
Ryan with his Malazan smirk.
It's good that you're able to binge them all, but what about people that read them as they were coming out? They would have to go read other books. So to me, like, it's necessary as an author. Well, I'm just saying, it's necessary as an author to make your books accessible enough to read things in between them.
And accessibility is the wrong word to apply to anything Malazan. That's not what the books are for.
Yeah, there was zero intent.
You're supposed to do a reread of all the books when the next one comes out.
Man, I'm so stoked to read today. Ryan made a good point. Why am I watching TV? Why am I diddle-dallying with Mr. Robot when I could be finishing up Death's End and starting Joe Abercrombie?
That's right.
Man,
TV makes you dumber, reading makes you smarter.
There are events that happen in Death's End that will happen before you finish reading it.
False. I'll finish it this week.
Oh, okay.
Is that a guarantee? Is that a Phantology guarantee?
Yeah,
Phantology makes guarantees now.
Yeah,
we do. That's a new thing Phantology does. We make guarantees. I made a fun Rhythm of War guarantee that is definitely going to happen because we guaranteed it. So Jake's making a guarantee.
Yeah, guaranteed.
You're bound by your word.
I only have
your oath.
I only have like 80% of the book to go, so I'm good.
All right. Well, you risk losing your spren if you do not follow through.
Whoa. Well, see. All right, moving on.
Oh, and we have a comment saying that Hinterlands is never going to read Malazan too heavy. Yeah, I mean, that's always the problem, right? Give it a shot, though. Read the first book and just try, maybe.
No judgment, though.
I read the first book and also made that informed decision that it was too heavy for me. So I agree with you.
This is also coming from the guy who's excited about rewatching Twilight movies. So,
do you guys mean too heavy, like the book is too big, or too heavy content-wise?
Neither. We mean in terms of
what do you mean? What do you mean, Hinterlands? Do you mean the density or the mature content?
It's not all that mature of content.
Okay.
If you're talking mature content, then you go Joe Abercrombie. But for Malazan, the heaviness comes in the complexity of the plots and just what it takes to understand all the details that are going on.
Yeah, I think
it was like the lack of characterization.
So I think it was Elliot Brooks that did this review, Jake, where it talks about like the character standing on the spot, and there's like a page worth of history about that spot that they're standing on that really is probably never going to relate to the story again. But it talks about how like the spot where they were standing, like the city was like ransacked, and that the person who was standing there like lost his parents, and just like gives this whole fairly complex history of that spot where he was standing.
No, that was about the archaeological history of the city, how it had settled over thousands of years. There had been a mass destruction in the city previously.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't really play that much into the actual story. It just gives you some really cool history. It makes you feel like there's a world that exists that has that city in it. But it just gives you this huge background into the story that, you don't really need narratively.
Well, agree to disagree.
Well, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that like that's where I think the word heavy comes from, is that there's a lot like there that isn't necessary to the narrative of the story, but is really interesting if you're into it.
Okay. And that's what Hinterlands is saying right now, that just the massive mental load and complex plot and non-linear storytelling. There are books where you read one book and then the next book is in a completely different continent with different characters, and rather than continue the story straight through like most series would do, you jump around like crazy. So that also makes it complex as well. Okay, let's move off of news and let's get into the main part of our podcast. Maybe not the main part, the more exciting part. We're going to talk through our top 3 fantasy artifacts. And after we give our picks, we are going to request input from you, listeners, on Twitter for yours, and then you will be entered into our September bracket, which is completely non-biased series of Twitter polls. And if you win the Twitter poll, you advance to the championship, where the winner will receive some Photology swag, such as what Josh is rocking with that nice hat. So last month we did top 3 fantasy duos, and Black Tower Podcast won, actually our first 2-time champion. They had Matt and Telmanis, Vin and Kelsier, and Legolas and Gimli, so very strong contenders. So this month with artifacts, who wants to go first and reveal your top 3 artifacts? Again, we're going to stay away from spoilers. So even if that doesn't disqualify things, but if it's going to be an artifact that has a lot of plot details tied to it, then just say, like, this is what it is, and maybe describe what it looks like or something, and maybe what it could do, but no spoilers.
Dang.
Okay. Can I go first? I haven't gone first
Yes.
yet. None of these. All right.
Josh is keeping track of who's gone first.
No, I just know I haven't gone first, and I always have things that are on my list that other people say.
All right.
And then
Okay, he doesn't want to be. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, wait. Can we get a confirmation from Ryan? Ryan, are you waiting till the end again?
I haven't decided yet.
All right, we'll see what Ryan comes up with.
He's got some tricks up his sleeve.
Okay, Josh.
All right. Number 1. Actually, I'll start from number 3. The Marauders Map from Harry Potter. I really liked it. I thought it did a lot of cool things narratively. I thought that the fact that Fred and George had this all along and were using it to conduct their mischief was cool. And I thought it was a good way to connect Harry to his dad and friends. The Golden Trio connected to the Marauders, I thought was really cool. And it really worked in the story for me. So that's number 3. Number 2, I'm going to go with Likanius the Sword from the Likanius books.
That's a good one. That's
the titular sword.
Yeah, the titular sword. And I thought it was... Yeah,
it's a word.
It's a word, Jake.
It's a risky choice sometimes.
I think titular. I think titular is the word. I don't think titular is the word.
Oh, man. You're right. I'm going to adjust that. I'm going to
really need the 2 tits in there.
Ooh.
Right?
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Okay. But yeah, I'm not going to give away what the power of it is, but I thought it was handled very well. It was more than a MacGuffin, and it was really cool. And I don't want to give anything more away from that, but it appears in some really amazing scenes with this series, and it was awesome. Number 1 choice for me was Marlin's Rainbow from the Dark Tower, and this consists of 13, if I'm not mistaken, kind of crystal ball type things. And if I had to pick one of them from that, it would be the Black 13, which kind of just causes devastation and ruin wherever it's at. And there are some cool things that it is supposed to have caused in the real world. And I just really like how that is used. And there's some other really cool parts of the rainbow that are used in interesting ways throughout the series. So those are my magical artifacts.
Whenever Josh starts talking about Dark Tower stuff, I feel like I go to the Michael Scott of I love inside jokes. I wish I'd be a part of. I want to be a part of one someday, because the series sounds awesome. I'll have to add that to my to-read list.
Yeah, you should. Not everyone should, but us 5 should. You guys should. So, all right. There's my list. Who's going to follow up that awesome list?
Yeah, who wants to go and risk and take away the risk of being stolen?
Ben does.
I can go, but okay. So I'm just running through this list again in my head. Make sure. Okay.
Yeah, don't mess it up.
Number 3. Yeah. Okay, number 3, I'm going to say The Ring, but not the ring that you're all thinking of. I'm going to say, again, from Likanius, Davian's ring that he has. And I don't want to give spoilers here for how the ring was created, but it was really cool to track throughout the trilogy to see where it appeared and who it was with at what time. Kind of helped you track timeline things. Yeah. So I'm gonna say that was super cool. Okay,
that's a good one.
Okay, crap. All right.
The one up with the Likanius.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2, I'm gonna go Nightblood from the Cosmere, and I really like how it appears in Warbreaker and kind of continues on and has found a new home in with a character that I will not reveal. I'm not gonna. I don't want to tell how it crosses over. Well, yeah. Gosh, is that a spoiler? I feel like that's a spoiler. Nightblood is a really cool sword in Warbreaker and has other implications in the Cosmere. I get accused for spoilers all the time, so I wanted to avoid it.
That's fine.
I think that was a very good way of explaining Nightblood without spoiling things. Ben, you get 10 points for Gryffindor.
Thank you. Okay, number 1. I'm going to say, I know that Jake might scoff with his snobby attitude about Wheel of Time, but I'm going to say the Heron marked, is it Heron or Heron?
Heron,
dude.
The animal's the
Heron marked sword.
Like the bird,
that
dude.
ran Heron.
Okay. We all jumped on him so hard.
It like points out, well, there's a Heron, Lakin.
Okay. The Heron marked sword that Rand finds and that in his father's possession, for me, it immediately sparked this whole it kind of started the epicness of the Wheel of Time, because I realized that there's a lot of things that has happened before Rand kind of came into the picture that are going to be important, and it follows Rand's progression with the sword is really indicative of his progression as a character, and I don't know, I really liked it throughout. It doesn't have as much magical properties in and of itself, but I thought that it mapped his progression really well.
Nice. Good spread thus far. Okay, hey, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna sandwich here in the middle of the fight. All right, my number 1 top artifact is the Aculos from the Artemis Fowl movie. That is not true. The worst MacGuffin ever seen in the fantasy universe. No, my number 3 is going to be just an honor blade in general. So this is kind of like what you were saying, Ben, with Nightblade. I mean, that's similar, right? But these are the swords of the originators of the world and the series, and without saying any spoilers, they give you very cool powers, and they're just fun to think about being able to have, that you can dismiss them and pull them out of thin air after 10 heartbeats pass, or actually maybe a little different for these ones. So we'll kind of see what's going on with the honor blades. I'm into that. Number 2, I'm going to go another sword from a different series. I'm going to say the Blinding Knife from the Lightbringer series. This one has a lot of cool powers, and you can track it throughout the series, and does some unexpected things and reveals some things about the characters, and you don't really know exactly what's going on with this for some time. It actually changes appearances and everything. So this really adds to the magic system quite a bit, the Blinding Knife. And my number one is going to be, I think it's going to be the Choden Call access key in Wheel of Time, just because of the pure amount of power that it allows you to access, and the scene towards the end that involves it, that changes the tone of the entire series, I think is my favorite scene from the entire series. And without saying any spoilers, that's the Choden Call. So those are my three.
Fat Man Terangrio. Do you want me to go next, Ryan, or?
Yeah, you can go next.
Okay, so two of mine have been claimed already, and I've been trying to.
Wait.
What was that then?
I wanted to see if we wanted to talk about Hinterlands real fast.
Did he comment again?
Yeah, we have an entry from YouTube.
Okay.
We have the Arkenstone from Hinterlands. So he's saying the Arkenstone, the Invisibility Cloak, Green Lantern's ring, although he says scratch Green Lantern's ring, and add in the Black Kakari from Night Angel.
That's a really cool
which I know. Yeah, which I know Ryan. I've read the first one. I can't remember exactly what that is. It's been some time.
I can't believe you guys haven't read the Night Angel trilogy. It's good.
Yeah, I haven't read the Night Angel trilogy either. The Arkenstone is from The Hobbit, right? Like it was Smaug.
Yeah, it's what Thor and Oakenshield was after.
I'm sure that has more implications in Tolkien's actual works.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the movies quite a bit. Invisibility Cloak is awesome. Everyone wants one of those.
Okay.
I think Invisibility Cloak is cool because it's part of the Deathly Hallows. I really like that. I actually, going back, I would have put more from the Deathly Hallows in mind.
And that's one that you would use a ton, like as a hero or as a regular person. Just.
I would use the Black Kakari a lot.
Remind us what the Black Kakari is, Ryan?
Can somebody give a quick synopsis of what that is?
Well, it's basically like this artifact that kind of grants you like invisibility, immortality. Let me pull up a description on it because I'm not doing it justice.
There's other Kakaris as well, right? But this one is like extra powerful.
So yeah, it's this artifact. It bestows upon the owner immortality, invisible, extreme magical power, rapid healing, and the ability to devour magic, wood, stone, basically anything.
Okay, so you're basically like Thanos. You're invincible.
Pretty much. But like everybody's trying to get the Black Kakari, and so it's like kind of people track these artifacts through time, and they try and recover them or kill the person who has them so that they can have the power.
Okay,
so
that sounds familiar.
It's a cool way to like move the plot forward, and it's surprising who has had it. It's a very cool part of the story.
On that note, do you want to do yours, Ryan?
I think Jake was ready to do his.
Yeah.
All right, best for last with Ryan again. It's your Jake's.
I'm trying to decide which one I'm gonna, because Josh had one of mine and Steven had one of mine, but all right, I'm gonna start with
Can you say what those were before really quickly?
So Josh had the Marauders Map and Steven had an Honor Blade. Those were both on my list, but I think I'll keep the Honor Blade, and I have something else to go, kind of rearrange. So I guess number 3, I'll start with the Honor Blade. Although I feel like it's hard to rank these because having an Honor Blade is such a powerful thing to have for multiple reasons, and I guess I really won't go into due to spoilers. But then next I have the Foxhead Medallion from the Wheel of Time.
Yeah, it's a cool trinket.
I was trying to decide between that and the Choden Call, and I thought the fact that the Foxhead Medallion is so like inconspicuous, like you can wear it, and at the time not much is known of it. Can I say what it does? I don't know if that's a spoiler either.
Yeah, let's keep it.
Okay. But anyways, I feel like in a very different way, it has is almost as powerful or as useful as a Choden Call. And then number 1, I'm gonna go with the Silmarils from I guess Lord of the Rings and Silmarillion, that whole Tolkien world. And I was just thinking, now that Hinterland said that, I remember hearing that the Arkenstone was one, but I'm not sure if that is true or not. But
so for Lord of the Rings noobs, tell us what they actually are.
So the Silmarils were basically, in like the First Age, they were these jewels created from these like magical holy trees back in the Westlands, in the realm of the elves, and they're like really powerful and really beautiful, and kind of like how in the Third Age you had the War of the Ring. There was like these huge, the War of the Jewels, I think it was called, and that's when Sauron's master Melkor, I think he was like the main antagonist, stealing those, and yeah. So yeah, those are my top 3.
Thanks for the LOTR lore.
All right, are you ready for this?
I'm not sure.
No, okay.
I wasn't ready last time.
Mine aren't that
I don't know.
My number 3 pick is the Seed from the First Law trilogy, which is this stone that they're seeking after that is maybe not quite what you'd expect, and it's interesting. I guess it's always interesting what the origins are of this artifact and the impact that it has on the story. I really like that one. Number 2 pick is the One Ring to Rule Them All. Of course, I think that's probably going to be a popular pick in our Twitter poll, just because it's what the Lord of the Rings trilogy is centered around, and it's such a interesting artifact which molds the wearer kind of to its will, and just almost like possesses them to hold it above everything else in their life. And but the whole thing is that it's trying to get back to its master who created it.
Yeah, it's the titular object of the series.
The titular
is how you say it.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for the correction, Steven.
Yeah.
And for my number 1, it's, I don't know that you could consider these artifacts. I don't know physically what they are, but the Shards of Adenosium, just I mean they're kind of the foundation.
Yeah.
The Cosmere. With these shards, mortals can take the shards, and then they basically become gods of these different worlds, and it's the interplay between these shards is it's pretty much how you get all the stories in the Cosmere, or I guess kind of the underlying going-ons of the world.
Yeah, it's the backdrop to the series that we're seeing more and more be important to the actual events of what's on page.
Yeah, and they play a large part in Mistborn, but they're kind of like a mystery as to exactly what they're doing. But I think in Roshar, the Stormlight Archive world, they're much more present and very high impact, I guess.
Nice. Any that we didn't mention on anyone's list that they feel like needs an honorable mention?
Yeah.
I can't believe nobody did Matt's dagger.
I thought about that, but I went with the Foxhead Medallion.
What about Pata and Fane's dagger?
It's the same dagger.
Oh shoot.
Well, I think Ryan's saying that Pata and Fane is really the dagger owner.
Yeah, I don't know.
Debatable.
I have another one from Wheel of Time. I'm surprised nobody mentioned.
There's a lot of really good Wheel of Time artifacts.
There are a lot of really good ones. Yeah. Kalendor.
Come on, the Bowl of the Winds.
Oh no. That's a negative.
That's a D tier artifact.
Come on, they spent like 2 whole months trying to get it.
Yeah, and it was stupid.
I really liked Hinterland's pick, the Black Kakari, because it brings in something from a series that I feel like not many people talk about.
The Master Sword's a good one that almost made my list.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Yeah, if we go out to video
What
games,
about
for sure.
Steven and Josh, what about Harry's mother's amulet?
That's a good one. I was also considering just the Swords of the Cross from Dresden.
Oh, Sword of the Cross is cool. Yeah.
I thought we were
Dresden
talking about
has
Harry
a lot of really
Potter.
good ones. Harry Potter as well. You got the Deathly Hallows. You have the Horcruxes. You have
Time
Turner. You have like the diary. You have a lot of really cool
prophecies.
Yeah.
Prophecies are cool.
Artifacts are cool. This really makes me realize how important it is in your story to have some really unique, cool artifacts that people can desire to have personally.
Yeah.
Especially when they have like, I don't know, it just adds like a whole depth. I've said this a couple times, but like their origins and their future and how they've influenced the world up to the point that you're at, and how they influence the world when they're.
Well, it's cool. It's cool because it's like they're a character, only they're not. So they've been able to like stand the test of time and kind of like be seen in world or events in your universe. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah. There was one artifact that I almost picked that you guys probably don't know about. It's called Christina Bond. It's from
this is a Malazan thing?
No, this isn't a Malazan thing. Although there are probably a lot of cool Malazan art. Dragnipur comes to mind, the sword of Anamander Rake. But Christina Bond is from the Dris Duerden, I guess Forgotten Realms. It's like this crystal shard that's sentient and it like hungers for power, and so it's kind of like the One Ring to rule them all, where it like molds the users to its will a little bit, and just it's kind of like a main antagonist almost in the series.
I just checked out Homeland of the Dritz, however you say that, books. Are those pretty good? Should I read all of them, or like is there a specific trilogy to read there?
So I mean, I liked them a lot when I was growing up, and I haven't reread them since then. I think I reread the first trilogy, which is the Dark Elf trilogy, but I read an article where somebody was like, "Oh, I was rereading these and they're just awful. They don't hold up." So I can't really say anything about the writing quality. All I know is that it was really fun to read, and I think it kind of helped play a role of getting me into fantasy when I was younger. So
maybe I'll read the first one and we can do a review on that, as you having read them before and me being a first-time reader.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've read them. I'd almost need to do a reread, but yeah, read it. Tell me what you think.
You have another entry.
So what do we?
One other entry, Spear of Destiny, which was supposedly the spear that Christ was stabbed with, and that's actually appears in Dresden.
Ooh, the Bands of Mourning as well. Those are great.
Oh yeah.
That's
if you're on Mistborn, how about like a beat of Lerasium?
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
That's awesome.
When you said spear, it made me think of how the Church of Survivor has a spear for their symbol. Kind of a similar idea. Anyways.
So Hinterland says that the Driss origin story holds up. So good news for you, Jake.
I think that's the one I got for Homeland. I think that's the first of the Dark Elf trilogy.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
So what author do we think uses artifacts the best, since we've been talking? I mean, obviously Sanderson has a lot of really cool artifacts. Jordan has popped up a few times. Tolkien.
Yeah. Tolkien has them, but they're not they're not as personal. I feel like it's just the change in writing style. Like the One Ring is really heavily used, but then you have things like Anduril and the Silmarils and the Arkenstone, which they're more like vague things you want to capture, but you don't really use, you know?
Yeah.
But,
I think Jordan does, just because of the way that Angreal and Sangreal and Tarangreal are built into the story. And so prevalent. These are all like really cool artifacts, and they do so many different things, and there's so many books, so you can have a ton of different artifacts in them. I think he's really thrown the most cool artifacts into the mix.
I also really think that Rowling did a good job in Harry Potter. You know, the more I think about how many cool artifacts are in Harry Potter, like almost every book has an artifact that like has a reason for being there, and also is essential to the storyline.
mm-hmm.
I think the main thing is that we pretty much every author that we love has, I think, an effective use of artifacts that I didn't necessarily appreciate until we did this. When you actually look at your stories, you can pick out one or more than one significant artifacts that play a huge role on the story.
Yeah, I think Sanderson does a great job of like how they're so bound to the world and like the world building and the effects of the plot
magic system.
Yeah, like all of that.
The Valyrian steel swords are kind of cool.
The what?
The Valyrian steel swords from.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We didn't throw out any Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, or Name of the Wind.
Are there big artifacts from Name of the Winds?
He's got his shade cloak.
Yeah.
I feel like that world must have a ton. The Doors of Stone and the box and stuff he has, but I can't think of good ones right now.
The chest, the triply locked chest or whatever they call it, could be.
Oh yeah.
We want to know what's in there. The Name of the Wind itself, I guess you could say.
That chest is going to be like the briefcase in the movie
Pulp Fiction. Yeah, I could totally see him doing something like that.
Yeah.
Or like
his style.
Or like the package in that one Sharpen's short story, Ryan.
Yeah.
Steven, you brought up the Black Prism with the blinding knife, and I really think that the cards are pretty cool. That like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Ooh. I was gonna bring those up, but I'm in the middle of the book, so I don't really know.
Yeah, they are cooler than. Yeah.
Oh. The Nine Kings cards.
Good one.
What about It's in the Fool artifact? Yeah. I'm trying to think of some. I can't really.
I was trying to think back on that.
So you could just say the stones in general.
Yeah, the stone.
The stone dragons at the very end.
Well, the memory stone in general is cool,
right,
which was used to create the stone dragons.
There's a lot of books that rely on like magical stones that imbue you with power. How do you say that word? Someone tell me how to say that word.
Imbue? Is that what?
Imbue. Yeah.
Imbue. We're learning lots of words.
Power.
That's part of the problem of being a voracious reader is you know a lot of words that you don't know how to pronounce necessarily.
Yeah. That was kind of cool.
That was really cool. Yeah.
An Oathbringer.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, I remember the first time I said the word sconces out loud after reading about 1 million torches that were put into them. That was strange.
You're like, Mom, these are some cool sconces you got here.
It's okay, guys. Today I got made fun of for not knowing how to pronounce that artificial sweetener that starts with an A, aspartame. I thought it was like.
Yeah, you've been mispronouncing it every time we've been hanging out.
well, thanks for educating me instead of thanks for just laughing at me while I mispronounce it.
Did you think it was aspartame?
No, that'd be Steven. I thought it was aspartame. I don't know. I was pronouncing every vowel. I thought it was like Latin. Turns out not.
All right. On that note, that's a wrap for Phantology for our August and Artifacts, our AA episode. If you like Phantology books, we're online at www.phantologybooks.com. on social media at Phantology Books. You can join our Discord, please, and let us know what you think of the episodes, what your favorite artifacts are, what your favorite books are, whatever. Hop on there, and we'd love to chat more with you. And we have Patreon, some Patreon tiers, and some new merch going on. So if you want to check out some kind of unique fantasy designs, all of these things are linked on our website and on all of our social media posts. So Ben, Josh, Jake, Ryan, Steven, thanks all. Another successful Phantology 5 live stream. We will see you all next time.
See ya.
Sounds good.
Everyone give a little thumbnail